Big Drive Energy, Sunday afternoon happy hour. Last time of 2024 makes me kind of sad.
No, we got the President's Cup.
Yeah, but isn't that like in France? So it's going to be all weird.
It's in
Time-wise?
Canada. It's in French Canadian because it's in
Okay.
Montreal, you dumbass.
Okay, well, I keep forgetting that. We're going to talk about Scottie Scheffler winning his first tour championship, which is hard to believe with the season he's had and just the 3-year stretch that he's had, how that compares to the best in history, how much money he's made. We'll talk about all of that, along with my trip to Iowa, plus a Mulligan of the week, our typical Sunday night maneuver. I got plenty of mulligans of the week. This might be like a mulligans, like I'm gonna buy 4 at the counter and use all of them today.
100%.
Right, let's tee it up. Sunday afternoon happy hour for the tour championship, and we're really going to do our best to make the show as fun as we can. We're in the name of fun, but this was a shitter. Let's just be real, and we'll talk about it. But I don't respect that it was a shitter, but I'm like, it's kind of what it's set up to be. So we'll talk about maybe some other options to make this not a shitter. We'll talk about some things that we can maybe see going forward. It's never going to happen, but everyone likes to dream. Let's start off with, how was your weekend? Last weekend without football, last weekend of serious golf. So it's like a kind of a trade-off for us. It's like, all right, we don't have all these exciting golf tournaments to look forward to Thursday through Sunday, but college football, we just got bludgeoned in the throat with college football yesterday. And then NFL starting next week. It's just going to be, we're just off to the races.
I'm so in. Like, I've had a blast of a weekend. We played golf on Friday and then went out, had a good time Friday night, got a little tittered, got into one, standard weekend vibes. And then I'm actually playing golf again tomorrow. So I'll have played golf like 3 times in the last week and a half, which is definitely the most I've played golf in any like 2-week stretch, probably in the last 10 years. No, not in 10 years. I take that back, but not at a tournament. It's more golf than I've played in a hot minute. And
Labor Day golf for your boy. That's very corporate of you.
Yeah, well, so we're not going down to the beach because everybody else is at the beach. It's crazy busy down there, so we're avoiding that. So we just decided to make a tee time for tomorrow afternoon. Played the Rose last week. It was great. Played yesterday. We played this place called, yesterday was such a blur. I don't even think it existed. Like, I played golf on Friday, but I'm talking like it was yesterday. Friday was Skyview, really cool golf course in North Jersey. And then we're playing, I can't even remember the name of it tomorrow, but anywho, I'm actually hitting the ball really well. I'm enjoying it. I think I shot even par Friday. Nothing crazy. Like, the greens, that golf course is wild, like all over the place, just a shitload of hills. There was a couple approach shots that, like, I've slope on my rangefinder. I was hitting, it was a par 3. It was like 152 with slope. It was playing like 170. It was playing freaking crazy up and down hills, and just the greens putted like shit. Pretty standard. Didn't really make anything. But other than that, I went to this barbecue spot today that was fire. This place called Sterling Hotel. They have like a whole smokehouse in the back. So they do like all the standard, like brisket, pulled pork, blah, blah, blah. But we got like brisket nachos. We got smoked wings, which I will stand on the table and say that a smoked wing is better than a fried wing 10 times out of 10, in my opinion. I think you're kind of in the same boat on that take, right?
Yeah, not only am I a smoked wing guy, but I am also a dry rub guy. Dry
Yes.
rub over saucy wings 100% of the time. I don't like to have
So,
to get a moist towelette for myself. I'd rather dip my wing in some sauce on the side than
yeah,
have I dry rub smoked come to Papa.
that was the wings we had today. They were like a little spicy dry rub on smoked wings with a side of like blue cheese. They were phenomenal. My mouth's like watering again just thinking about it. And then they had some like really good drinks too. Like I started off with a little silver bullet to kind of ease my way back into the day. So that's can't go wrong there with a Coors Light. But then I got this, it was a frozen peach drink. And you're going to give me shit again because you love to drink the fruity drinks. But if it's a frozen drink, I'm out. Like, I don't care what's in it. Like, I love frozen drinks. That's just my jam. So this thing was peach flavored and it had cinnamon and like vanilla in it. And then I added some vodka to it and it was phenomenal. Like, it was legit one of the best drinks I've ever had in my life. I could have drank 6 of them if they weren't like that sweet and bad for you. But yeah, the barbecue is awesome. We started watching a new show. Have you ever heard of the show called Ghosts?
No. Ghosts
Dude,
plural.
yeah. So we actually had to buy it on Prime Video, which is annoying. Like it's like $20 a season, but it's like 20 episodes, and the show is actually super clever. It's on network TV. Um, but it's basically this house that this couple inherits, and it's full of ghosts. And she falls down one day and hits her head because like the ghosts don't want them to move in. So they're like showing the ghosts, they're showing them, but obviously they can't see each other. Then she falls down and hits her head, and then she can see all the ghosts and like talk to them. And so then, but her husband can't see him. So
Sounds insane.
dude, it's awesome. She's like communicating for them, and it's actually like very funny. So, very, very good show. We've already watched like a whole season, like the last 2 days, and now we're on to season 2. It's fucking best network television show I can say I've watched since like what did we watch growing up? Like what was funny? Modern
That
Family,
70s show,
that
Modern
70s
Family.
show, shit like that. Um but anywho, how was your weekend? I know you went to the very exclusive Casa Bonita today.
Yeah, I went to Casa Bonita today. It was
Who
awesome.
did you go with?
I went with Kylie and my kid and then her parents.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, and it was I just can't believe that place is as big as it is. It blows my mind. It just goes on forever. There's caves and there was a puppet show, and my my kid in the puppet show there was a tree, this talking tree, and it started it out in the puppet show, and he was infatuated with it and like freaked out, and he just kept looking at it like it was gonna come get him. So we had to leave the puppet show a little early and head on to the
Like he was on some fucking hallucinogens looking at
yeah,
that
he just kept
thing.
well, because the tree, it came out and talked and the eyes opened up and closed, but then when it wasn't part of the show, its eyes were just opening, looking to the left, looking to the right, and then closing again. And dude, obviously, like the South Park guys bought Casa Bonita, and
Yeah.
so a lot of the voices, like the voice for when that came on right before the Cliff Divers and stuff, was like a South Park voice. I couldn't pinpoint who it was. It kind of was like Mr. or Mrs. Garrison, whatever. But it was one of those voices that was like very clear, clearly a South Park voice. So
I
that
love
part was
that.
cool. The cliff divers were, it was fun. They have like 7 entrees you can choose from, and you prepay. And like we made a reservation like 6 weeks ago. There was still a line. Like they do security outside, like you're walking into a concert. You got to walk through metal detectors and shit. There's a million people working there. The
How was
entree
the
I got,
food?
it was decent. I mean, I don't like I told my wife when I got home, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be ready for dinner anytime soon. Now that could change very quickly, after talking to you for an hour. But I as of right now, I'm pretty stuffed, and I got like chicken mole. And I wish I should have gotten the ceviche. I was back and forth between that, but ceviche is not an entree to me. So I was like, the chips and salsa were absolutely off the charts. The chips were basically almost Doritos. That's how like salted or like dusted they were. But yeah, it was overall a good time.
Wait, real quick, this just made me think of this. At the barbecue spot, there you could get all like the different sides. And Amanda, Missy's friend, got mac and cheese. They topped the mac and cheese with Cheez-Its. What do you think
Oh
of that?
Jesus, I think that sounds like I would be not exiting the bathroom for about a week.
Cheez-Its aren't really like that bad. I mean, I guess any dairy for you. That is kind of a curious question. Do Cheez-Its actually have cheese in them? Or just
Yeah, they
like
have
cheese flavored powder?
no. Well, cheese flavored powder usually contains some sort of a milk derivative. So that's
Derivative.
what it
That's a
is.
word from the clouds. Where the fuck did you?
I pull them out every once in a while. Like portly, I pull that out every once in a while and just fucking keep you on your toes, keep
Are
you on your portly feet.
are you on like a word of the day type of kick where you just have one word and you got to use it when you learn
I
it?
might I might start doing that. I might just start word of the daying you, and I can just throw it into the podcast when we talk, and you have to decipher when it's happening, and you can just call it out. In fact, that
Okay,
may be a new idea.
I like that. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo, but with words.
Yeah. So, and then obviously this weekend I was in Iowa, got to see the Hawks take on the Illinois State Redbirds, and it was fun. There's two different ways you can go about this. The last time I went to a Hawkeyes game in Iowa City, they lost to Northwestern, and that felt like shit. Wasn't fun. And like going to a game where they looked like a competent football team because they played an FCS team was really fun, but there was no like chirping. I wasn't really nervous ever, which is fine. Like I said, it goes both ways. I just was never really very nervous for the game. I knew they weren't going to score more than 3 points, and they turned out to score 0. So
Even
I
when
was
it
like,
was 3-0, I was like not even sweating it. Like,
once we kicked one field goal, I was like, this is probably over. And that turned out to be the case. But dude, let me tell you about this fucking flight to Iowa. This was what nightmares are made of. So we booked the flight Thursday night to get in at midnight, Cedar Rapids, get to Aunt Jan, Uncle Jer's by 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30, whatever. And we take off, everything's gravy, except my son was being a complete disaster on the whole plane ride. He was not tired at all, which we thought, okay, we're flying out at 9 p.m. We'll get to the airport. He'll be super sleepy. By the time we get on the plane, it'll be gravy and he'll just be passed out. It's dark on the plane. He'll sleep the whole ride. We'll transfer him to the Turo car, drive home. He'll be great. And it didn't go that way at whatsoever. He was a nightmare on the flight. We just kept passing him back and forth. Kylie screen recorded Miss Rachel. So we were trying to use that. Then we were trying to use, books, and just nothing was working. I think, the tough part about a kid that's 13 months old is he can't obviously communicate with you other than crying. So I think he was having some ear issues, because that's what, like, he doesn't cry normally. Like, he doesn't just cry for no reason. And so he's screaming. I'm feeling like shit for everybody on the plane. And finally, he just finally gives up. I was holding him, and I could just finally tell he was like done screaming. And he just like fell asleep on me for like the last 20-ish minutes, and then woke up again. But the best part was,
real quick, a good idea that I heard from somebody is if your kid's crying, tell the stewardesses to offer to buy anybody a drink who wants a drink. Like, even if they don't take it, then they'll be like, oh, like, it's kind of a show of goodwill, because there probably wouldn't be like a lot of people that would actually take a drink, but just the fact that you were offering it, you spend $100, but then you don't feel like everybody hates you on the flight. People actually probably end up loving you. So that's
not a bad
an option
idea.
going
But
forward.
if you do that, with the way airport and airplane drinks cost, one row would have cost 100 beans if somebody got real into it. And but so the worst thing ever was they kept like coming over the screen. First of all, they didn't turn the lights off on the plane most of the flight, which for a 9 p.m. to midnight flight was pretty annoying to me. The fact that they couldn't turn the lights off. And I'm very like, when I'm on a flight, I'm always checking my watch, checking anything. Like when those flights and apps started giving like a timer where it says X minutes till you land or X minutes till the flight's over, I'm checking that like every minute and a half. I'm making sure it's still going down. I don't hate flying. I just can't describe how much when I'm in a tube with a bunch of other people, I just want to be on the ground and out of the plane. And then when you have a screaming kid, everyone's tired. It makes it 10 times worse. But I decided to keep checking the flight and then keep listening over the intercom. They kept coming on and saying the same shit. And then they were like, yeah, we've rerouted to Minneapolis. And I thought, holy fuck, it cannot get worse than this right now. And I was just, it was so stressful. And before I get to the rest of that story, how I got through this stress, I downed about a pack of Lucy nicotine on the flight. Shout out to Lucy Nicotine. They are 100% pure nicotine. They come in pouches, they come in breakers, they come in gum, whatever you could use for your nicotine, you got it with Lucy. I've got a package coming soon, hopefully, or I need to get a package coming soon because I'm about out of the wintergreens. Wintergreen and mint are my favorite two flavors right now. I've kind of backed off the apple ice a little bit, but the berry citrus breakers are a game changer. They slap so hard. So make sure to level up your nicotine routine, with Lucy. Head to lucy.co/BDE and use the code BDE for 20% off of your entire order. That's right, 20% off your entire order over there at Lucy Nicotine. Lucy offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co. Use code BDE and 20% off. And as always, free shipping. Here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Also, an addictive chemical is wearing sunglasses, and more specifically, wearing Shady Rays. I've got my Shady Rays back on the pod. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm ready to do this little happy hour Sunday night action. I'm drinking, not alcohol, but drinking some things to pick me up a little bit. And my Shady Rays are the only sunglasses that I wear on the golf course. They just sent me a new pair to replace the ones that I had broken. I actually super glued them so I could wear them for a little while. Very hillbilly of me, but that's okay. When you got car sunglasses, they're mostly just to shade the sun. You don't really care how you look when you're driving in the car. But Shady Rays has so many different options. They have polarized shades that won't break the bank. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They probably have some in your favorite team's colors, whether that's purple and black, blue and orange, red, yellow, and blue, or burgundy and blue, our favorite team's colors, or black and yellow. Black and yellow. They will have them in Shady Rays. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is going and giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, well, so we're on the plane, popping Lucy's like it's going out of style, and they say we're going to Minneapolis. And I'm like, oh, this is an absolute joke. And it's not their fault. Thunderstorms, I don't know, like what I'm not a pilot, so I don't know the scenario of landing in thunderstorms.
You don't even know what direction you're going when you're on a plane. Like, you are the furthest thing from a pilot.
Yeah, 100%. So we're diverted to Minneapolis, and ironically, we landed in Minneapolis the same time we would have landed in Cedar Falls. That's kind of how, or Cedar Rapids, So that's kind of how it was. And they were like, yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to fuel up or this or that. And then we're going to get you to Cedar Rapids. So we get there. We're 30 minutes on the plane ish, 30 minutes on the plane on the ground. They're refueling, or so they say. And then they go over the intercom. They're like, well, the thunderstorms stretch all the way down to Texas, and they're just going to be hitting Cedar Rapids all night. So we're going to deplane everyone. You're going to spend the night in Minneapolis. And I'm telling you, I did not know if I was going to make it another 2 hours in life. Like, we've got Sawyer, we're all tired. I've got mom to deal with, which is a trip in itself. Her past the hour of 8 p.m. on any evening. Shout out to my wife. She was being just incredible with the whole process. But we're like, all right, we got to do this. And shout out, no free shout out, but United Airlines, man, they had no reason to hook everybody up because it was weather. It's not their fault. And, I even looked at renting a car and driving from Minneapolis down to Cedar Rapids. It would have been like a 3-hour drive. I honestly am not glad that we had to stay in Minneapolis over the night, but I didn't want to get on the plane again with Sawyer. Like,
that's actually kind of the best option, is just to go get a night of sleep and then get back on the plane in the morning.
Right. And so that's what we did. United hooked us all up with, they just send us a text message. You go in there, you choose your hotel that's closest to you, or any hotel, basically any of the hotels on the list. There was a bunch of meal vouchers for us. And then there was also, you scrolled down one more and you just got to call a free lift. And you called a free lift to your hotel. The hotel would have shuttled you back. So theoretically, it cost nothing out of anybody's pocket. We had to pay for a lift there and back because we were, XL crew, and we had a stroller and car seat and all that. So we ended up getting a minivan, got to the hotel about 2 a.m., passed out, and woke up at 8 a.m. But then we get back to the airport and everything's fucked up because we're keeping our boarding passes and everything, and they say Denver to Cedar Rapids. So all the people in Minneapolis are like, what is this? Like, this is not Minneapolis, and like, we apparently could have kept our bag tags on that we checked our bags with originally. We ripped them off when we got to the hotel, of course. Like, who would have thought that we would reuse those? Then they tell us to go here. The left arm doesn't know what the right's doing at this place, which I don't blame them either. Like, we're not supposed to be there. It's not even a real flight. We're just getting back on the same plane and going 37 minutes back to our location that we were originally supposed to go to. But all in all, we finally got down to Iowa, got a made right, spent Friday night there, went to the diner, got some broasted chicken, very Iowa meals. I was just Iowaing it up. And then got to go to the Hawkeyes game yesterday. Incredible time at Kinnick. Kylie got to see Kinnick for the first time. We got to enjoy a nice blowout dub. We did get sunburnt as hell. And I realized this today when I was not drinking at Casa Bonita. I got an iced tea. Yesterday I started my first drink at roughly 8:15 in the morning, and I finished my last cocktail at roughly 10:15 at night. So it was about a 14-hour day of just
Talk about a
constantly.
marathon.
Yeah, well, because you know how it is. Like, once you stop, you're cooked.
Yeah,
And
you either got to
when we
keep
got
going or go to sleep.
when we got home from the game, Sawyer's running around like a fucking motor. So I'm like, well, I can't take a nap now. This isn't the time for nap time. So
I
that's
will
when you got to
say
lock
though,
in.
seeing your kid out in Iowa where our dad grew up is just like a very cool thing on a little bit of a sentimental level. Like, I love the fact that your kid gets to spend time where our dad was and all of that. Like, it just got me in my feels a little bit. It was very cool.
Dude, you want to talk about getting in your feels? I freaking ordered a junior made right and about cried.
For Sawyer?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
That
ordered
is
him a junior right, dude. I'm crying right now behind these glasses. Shout out Shady Rays. Keeping me looking right on the pod, not looking like a sad dad with these man tits I got going on my fucking screen. Gray shirt's not doing it.
estrogen levels high over there.
This gray shirt's not doing it for me at all. Jesus Christ.
Put those fucking rockets away. No, dude, that's just very cool. I mean, obviously, and hey, quick shout out Iowa offense. We have a fucking offense. We're Iowa Hawkeye fans. If you're new to the pod, it's a regular thing during college football season. But I was flabbergasted. We scored 6 points in the first half, and then we come out and just roll in the second half. Like,
well,
that
it was an FCS team, so they play Iowa State next week. Big in-state rivalry battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy.
They're gonna roll.
If they score 20 plus points next week, I'll get my stinger going a little bit.
Oh, they're going to.
My stinger's in sleep mode right now.
Bold prediction: they're gonna score. They're gonna win by over 2 touchdowns, and we're gonna score 35 points.
Wow. Okay. We'll bookmark that. 24 minutes in, Mitchell said the Hawkeyes are going to score 35. I do think they probably win by at least 10-ish, but it's going to be like 13-3. Like, they're going to suffocate everyone that they play. That defense is insane. You just look and you see first round pick, you see 6-year player. They stack it up right. And we actually sat on the plane on the way home today next to number 31 for Iowa. He's a fullback, his mom. And she was super cool. He's from Colorado. He's like one of the only Iowa kids from Colorado on the team. But we talked about like the KF way and the way they do it, like the Patriot way. When you go to Iowa, you don't start right away all the time. You're gonna sit and learn and then play, but you're gonna have a good shot to make it to the NFL if you're good enough. So dude, Iowa City just seeing it again, the way I came into this game, where we parked and where we tailgated, was completely different from the last game I went to. So seeing a different side of Iowa City, and just like it's such a big thing there, obviously, but like the whole town, all the tailgates are just in people's front yards. It's just front yard after front yard I didn't see a single tent that was unbranded. Like you're gonna have tailgate tents that are just gray or just black. Not one of them was either gray or black. It was all Hawkeyes branded. So it's just such a thing out there, and it was so cool to be around that many people that just eat, sleep, and breathe Hawkeye football.
100%, dude. We're actually, Missy and I are talking about maybe trying to get out there in like early November. I think they play Northwestern at home. We're talking about possibly doing that. We just got so many trips going on. We're always doing so many things. It's like, how can you jam in another thing? But that is worth the trip. Speaking of trips, do you think it was worth the trip for these guys to head down to Atlanta this week? Because what a fucking snoozer that, like, I kept seeing Christian Bezadenhout, and I'm like, this dude is the most irrelevant. Like, I had it turned on, and Missy goes, "Who's Taylor Pendrith?" Like, I've never heard this guy's name. How is he in the top 30? I'm like, yeah, it just, outside of Scottie and Xander, I hate to, beat an old drum, beat a dead horse, whatever. Don't come at me, PETA. But it just, there's no juice whatsoever. I mean, Colin Morikawa, kind of contended a little, but this was, and I will say, like, Scottie played well this week too, for starting with a 2-stroke lead, whatever. He still shot 20 under on his own ball, after the 10 under start. So that's damn good golf in and of itself. And it just, at no point was I like, I need to watch this. Like, I had it on, but there was no like, oh, holy shit. That's the craziest thing, is like, can you imagine? This was basically the equivalent of the Tour Championship was the Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl. Like, this is the buildup to this event, and at no point is it even interesting. Like, maybe besides Scottie hitting that shank and coming within a couple shots of the guy behind him, but ultimately the biggest snoozer to end a PGA Tour season that I can recall in recent memory. And if that doesn't put this format to bed, I don't know what will, because the ratings have to be in the fucking toilet after that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely didn't have much juice from the jump when Scottie, because like I said, remember we talked before the Tour Championship, and I said Thursday's a day to watch out for, because if Scottie goes out there and shoots even par, 1 or 2 under, and somebody from 6, 7, 8, 4, Rory goes out and shoots 7 under, whatever, that's just, Wyndham, it's a tournament all of a sudden. But Scottie goes out and races out to 6 under, 16, and we had a 7-shot lead after the first round. And did you see what Max Homa tweeted about this, by the way?
No, I actually may have, but I don't remember what it said.
Okay, so this is so dumb, and I don't think this should be an actual record. If it is, PGA Tour Communications tweeted on Friday morning, maybe.
About him having a
tournament.
7-shot lead.
Yeah, Scottie Scheffler cards a 6 under 65 and holds a 7-stroke lead after the first round of the Tour Championship. Scheffler is the first player to hold a lead of 7 strokes or more after 18 holes of a Tour event on record, 1983 to present. And then Max Homa quote tweets it with, "The Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter and lead by 30, a new record."
I was literally going to say, that's like a Super Bowl. The team that has a better regular season record starts 2 touchdowns ahead. Like, what it just doesn't make any logical sense. Whatever brain trust put this shit together can officially say it's a failure, because
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. This is what we do.
You're great at that. Yeah.
But okay. Taking into account how boring the 4 days kind of was after Scottie shot the first round, right? Like that's not what the Tour wants. That the Tour doesn't want to have to basically over promote their championship when everybody should want to tune in. I think this tournament was well below the majors in terms of excitement, for sure. and probably well below even almost all the signature events. Like I'd put this somewhere in the range of after Thursday and watchability, somewhere in the range of Valero Texas Open to Zurich Classic type of scenario. And so that part of it, like that's where it's a failure. But where it's not a failure to me is my new best friend and favorite player on the PGA Tour, Scottie Scheffler, deserved to win this tour championship and deserved to win the FedEx Cup this year with how he played throughout the entire year. And so the result is, I feel like, the most fair. And it's not saying they just handed it to him. He still went out and shot 20 under on his own ball without any strokes over 3 days, which I don't know for sure if that's would have still won the tournament, but I actually assume so. I assume that maybe, I guess maybe, let me look at the leaderboard here, because did Colin Morikawa start at 4 under?
I am not positive on that. I
Okay,
was thinking the same thing.
This may crush my whole thing. I can find this. So Colin Morikawa, he did finish at 4 under. So Morikawa actually won this tournament.
He shot
without
22
strokes.
under.
He shot 22 under.
I mean,
And
Thigala making that run today. Russell
Yeah,
Henley shot 62 today or 63.
Wait, what did Thigala finish at?
24 under.
So he shot 21. So he would have gotten second. So Scottie T3'd this and he cruised to it. But I just ultimately think this was the result that should have happened. How they got there maybe should change. And I'm not disagreeing with you on that front. But sitting here and acting like Scottie Scheffler shouldn't win the FedEx Cup or the Tour Championship is, to me, it's like, all right, that's where I kind of draw the line of he was clearly the best player. Maybe they give the player of the year or the FedEx Cup out after and then play the playoffs or something different, which is what they used to do, right? They used to split.
Well, so they would still play the FedEx Cup playoffs, and the FedEx Cup playoff points still went toward the FedEx Cup, but they would award a winner of this event and then also the FedEx Cup winner. It wasn't the same thing, which makes all the sense in the world. Like the fact that they went away from it, because somebody can win this event and still not win the FedEx Cup. Like that's how it ultimately should be, because Scottie, like you said, should be rewarded for his incredible season, like record-setting all-time year. But by the same token, there's no sense of urgency from him, because I mean there is, but even there's no sense of urgency from the guy in 30th place or 25th place, because it's just, it doesn't have as much, in my opinion. Like you're not playing for as much, because a guy that technically doesn't win this week could still win the FedEx Cup. So you could see, somebody's in 6th place and they need to get to 4th place. Like none of that really mattered this week. It was just all for the money, which I guess it all is anyways. Like I love, and I tweeted this, but when they were talking about how Scottie doesn't play for the money, I'm like, why isn't he down in Dallas at his home club then beating it around, giving people lessons, like being a club pro? That he's obviously out there because it's a fantastic living. But to say that they're not doing this because Scottie just made $60 million this year, like it is beyond the arc of possibility. Like the steps that golf has taken, if you'd have told me that somebody could make $60 million on the golf course, like that is legitimately. Jordan Spieth had that crazy season, in 2015 or 2016. So less than 10 years ago, he had a great season, won the FedEx Cup. I think he made $30 million on the golf course. And that's a crazy number. But then you legitimately, and that's like inflation. It is legitimately inflation on the PGA Tour has hit an all-time high, because $30 million, 17 years ago, 2015, 2016 is now $60 million. It is legitimately doubled. And you look at like these NBA contracts and things like that, guys making $60-70 million in a year now, where I remember like when Alex Rodriguez signed that deal when we were kids, he was making like $30 million a year. And I'm like, I couldn't even wrap my fucking head around that. Now guys are literally making double that, to the point where, in 15, 20 years, is there going to be somebody making $100 million a year? Is there going to be somebody making $150 million a year to play a sport? Like that's it's gone like almost too far in my opinion.
Yeah. So speaking to that point, I was just doing a little research here on the money that Scottie's made this year and how it compares to earnings all time. And I found an article that was written just after, shout out Golf Week. It was written just after the Open Championship this year. So Xander had won his second major. Okay. Scottie's career earnings this year beats so this is the top 18 earners all time on the PGA Tour. So Ricky Fowler at 18, it beats him by 12 million. Hideki Matsuyama at 17, 51 million. Once again, this is before, Hideki's probably past that after winning last week and top 10ing this week in the Tour Championship, but this is as of July. He's already earned more this year than Jon Rahm will ever earn on his PGA Tour career, because he's never making another PGA Tour dollar. More than Xander Schauffele, who's 15. More than Sergio Garcia, who's 14. More than Justin Thomas, who's 13. More than Matt Kuchar, who's 12. More than Jason Day, who's 11. And then finally get to Jordan Spieth at 62 million. And Scottie's eclipsed that in just this season.
That is
7 wins, a gold medal. Like, he's about to win the President's Cup as the lead guy for the United States there. Major, a Masters. Like, it's unfathomable what he's doing in the world of not since Tiger, and we'll never, if we take out that argument ever, it's and not since like modern day times here. Because I was looking at all-time PGA Tour wins because I was curious of like, how would Scottie's 2024 season rack up against all-timers? How many tour players have won? How many prominent tour players have won less than 7 times? And I couldn't actually find the list because the list only went to 8-time winners. And there was actually like 5 or 6 guys that all won 8 times in a season. Tiger won 9 times in a season, but before, I think Tiger won 9 times in 2000. But every other season with like 8+ time winners was way back in the day, the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s. So this is modern day history that he's setting. And I'm happy he won the Tour Championship, and I'm happy he won the FedEx Cup, because the season that he had deserves that.
No, I agree. It's just like when you look down that leaderboard. So I'm looking at Sahith Theegala's his finishes this year and what is he going to end up making? So he finished third this week in the FedEx total in the FedEx Cup. So without a win this year, he will have made, I want to say, over $15 million. And that's 7 top 10s. Like, how are you averaging? And so I take it back. This week would technically count as a top 10, but in a 30-man field. So call it 8 top 10s. You're averaging almost $2 million a start, and you're not winning. You have not won once. Like, he does have, I want to say it was at 3 second place finishes, but still, like, that is absolutely insane. You used to have to win on the PGA Tour to make $3 million in a year. Now the money you can go out there and make an insane. It is basically like turning in the NBA. You've got guys that are coming off the bench. Sahith Theegala, in my opinion, and I love the dude. He's fun to watch. But as of right now, he's not a world beater. Like, I wouldn't stack him up with Brooks Koepka, with, guys like that, with Scottie Scheffler. I don't think they're in the same ballpark, but he is like a Monte Ellis or a fucking Gary Harris comes to mind, some Denver guys. He is that guy that's like the standard of like a PGA Tour bench player that's making $15 million in a year. And that's having a pretty good season, like, relatively speaking. But the dude virtually, I don't want to say he did nothing. He had a good year. But when you ask a PGA Tour player, since they don't play for the money, if you ask them what a successful year is, it's them winning. Like Patrick Cantlay said it in his press conference. He's like, well, I haven't won this year, so I wouldn't call it a success. Like, those guys expect to win. So if you can go out there and not win and make $15 million in 7-8 months, that's bananas. Like, and obviously it just makes golf that much more competitive. But it really actually got me thinking this week too, because I want your opinion. At the beginning of the season with the signature events, and only these people get into the signature events and they're paying out a bunch of money. Like, do you like this more top loaded PGA Tour where 20 guys are making 5+ million and then there's, 100 guys probably making less than 5 million? Or do you think that there should be more of a middle class on the PGA Tour? Because I if you're in the signature events and you do somewhat well, you're going to make so much more money and you're going to get so many more FedEx Cup points, which will then get you into more signature events so you can make more money. Like it's truly almost feels like they're keeping the little man down a little bit. As much as I hate to say it, that's what it feels like to me.
No, and you're definitely right about that point. I do think though that with where Live has gone and the Live Tour and the money that they're putting up against the PGA Tour and being as of now, as of the time we speak right now, a direct competitor to the PGA Tour, I think it was their only option before they lost a lot more players. And the more top end players that they lose, that the PGA Tour would lose to jumping to Live if their money wasn't here for the signature events and for the FedEx Cup, it's already teetering on the fact that if they were the same, if you put them out on the same TV product and you had the same, like a fuller field for Live and you had more players in general, just not talking about who's playing in those events, but more players, and it was relatively the same TV product, I think more people would tune in to the Live Tour over the PGA Tour right now. And I would honestly stand by that. Now, the PGA Tour is much more, much easier to find on TV, much more marketable to the older generation, especially a lot of the people that watch golf are still probably 40 plus, because it's funny with golf, as much as a lot of kids our age, and I say kids, I'm 30, but a lot of 30-year-olds, under 40 that are into golf and like obsessed with it and play it all the time. And, all they're thinking about is their golf swing and they're going on golf trips with their buddies and stuff. They're still not watching it, a lot of them. And, and I firmly believe that, like, they're watching the majors. When the majors come up, they're like, oh yeah, US Open is this weekend, I'm going to tune in, or, oh, this is this weekend, but they're not watching the Valero Texas Open. And we are obviously, because it's part of our job, but at the same time, like we're in the minority of the people that watch golf tournaments every single week that are under 40 or 50 years old. And so in order to keep up with the product that Live has, PGA Tour in general has to try to reward more money. And it makes the wins cool when it's a guy like Peter Malnati winning an event, even if there's not a lot of players in it, because it's like you get to hear the story of how he got there and how he got to the PGA Tour and what a PGA Tour's life is like. But I almost think if the PGA Tour would feature more guys on Full Swing, like a Peter Malnati or something, I think that would be a way to really show people what it's like on tour to not be, your upper class. There's, like you said, there's very few guys that I would consider middle class, because the middle class guys, or the verging on upper class guys now, are the guys that you would like have to argue, are they in the upper class? Were middle class guys before the Rahms and the Dustin Johnsons and the Cameron Smiths and those guys left, because those were fringe upper class guys, but those guys made the middle class of golf. The Sergio Garcias, popular names, could win any event, have won majors in the past, also could shoot, everybody can shoot a million any week except for Scottie Scheffler or Xander Schauffele, it seems like. But those were the guys that made up that secondary apron of, okay, this guy isn't the greatest player on tour, but Bryson DeChambeau's, those are the guys that everybody tunes in to watch. And they're on that verge of, like, if they can win the event and win a few more events, they're going down in PGA Tour history as one of the better players. Now you don't have guys like that. You have guys that are still going to need to build their career up. You have the top 4 or 5 guys, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Scottie Scheffler goes without saying, guys like that are, PGA Tour Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers, multiple time major winners, all that stuff. And then you have a drop off.
Not quite where Cantlay's got like and I know you just threw that name out there, but his career is actually kind of curious because he just feels like he's won so much more than he actually has. Like I feel like he has gotten a pass as being thought of as one of the most elite players and doing virtually, I wouldn't say nothing, but not near as much as, guys like Xander, guys like Scottie, guys like John Rahm. He's not won a major. He's not won, that many big events. But what I was going to comment on real quick is like, we watch Hard Knocks, right? You watch Hard Knocks. Do you want to see them just feature Caleb Williams and DJ Moore? No, you want to see Bajent. You want to see that undrafted or that 5th round edge rusher. Is it Booker? I want to say, like, you want to see the stories of the the free agent 3rd string quarterback, like just trying to make the roster. Like, the PGA Tour does such a poor job of marketing these younger dudes that are just getting their foot in the door, and even guys that are journeymen. Like, once you hear their story, you're like, holy shit, that's fantastic. Like, a lot of people don't remember Tommy Gainey used to go out and play like $50,000 money games with random other guys. Like, he had backers and he would go play money games. Like, that's what he did for a living before he got to the PGA Tour. But you don't hear them talk about stories like that. Like, winning their club championship, and they feature all the big guys. And sure, but you can find info on Scottie anywhere. You can find info on Justin Thomas anywhere. Like, they do such a poor job of digging into these guys' careers and how they got to this point, and like doing features and even just showing, this is going to be his highest finish in his PGA Tour career, even if it's a T12, and giving a little bit of background to him. But you can't root for somebody if you don't have any information on them. And that is the PGA Tour's job, is to market and provide information about their product. And they're just like the laziest fucking organization in all of sports, where they're just like, yeah, we'll just pay the top 5 most successful guys the most money, and that's who we're just going to show on TV. Like, it's just such a poor product for what it could be. And that's why Monday Q Info, like, he's got, close to 200,000 Twitter followers now, because he's tweeting about the journeyman people that are grinding out the Monday Qs, the stories of a guy that works at the PGA Tour Superstore, and he's fucking drinking beers before he's in the playoff to make it into a legitimate PGA Tour event. There's so many like storylines like that, and the PGA Tour just misses out on all of them. They'd rather talk about Scottie being able to buy his fucking 5th house this season, or just the most non-story stories. It's like, do some due diligence on your product and fucking actually put some time in to get to know the people that go out and play every week, regardless if they're like the Mark Hubbards of the world. He had made 19 straight cuts, but he didn't have a top 10, so you hardly see him on TV. It's just one of those things where it's like, they could do so much more with their product, because they legitimately have 125 to 150 guys they could do profiles on. They could go to their hometown, go to their home club, get stories. And there's just none of that type of digging that goes on. It's all just so surface level.
Yeah, that's very fair. And real quick, I wanted to get your thoughts on Sahith Theegala and him calling himself on a penalty. He had an adventure of a hole yesterday and called himself out. And if you're going on your next adventure, you need to do that with Rugged Road coolers. Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light. They're built for your next adventure. The Rugged Road coolers that we use at our tailgates, like I said, incredibly light. I can carry 2 of them. They kept our ice cold the other day in 90-degree heat for 3 hours. I didn't even have to refill the ice once. So shout out to Rugged Road coolers. They also float. This is the coolest thing a cooler does. And I don't know what's cooler than a cooler that floats. So for your next outdoor adventure, head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use promo code ALLCITY for 10% off. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use that code ALLCITY for 10% off your next cooler. Check it out. So what did you think about Sahith taking that penalty on calling it on himself? And, I also want to talk about Eastlake a little bit too in general. So just real quick thoughts on Sahith taking that penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the replay, and I think Sahith had the quote that was like, "Your instincts in golf are rarely wrong. Like if you think you did something, then you probably did," which is pretty hard to dispute. But I legitimately, if he did something, it was like brushing like 2 grains of sand. So I didn't even recognize, when it happened in real time, even in slow motion. But I remember in the state championship I played at Pelican Lakes my junior year, this one kid I was playing with, he was in the hazard and he was taking like he wasn't taking a full practice swing, but his ball was in the hazard. He was standing in the hazard. He takes a backswing and clips one leaf, and he didn't even realize it. But that's technically improving your playing area. So one of the other like dads called him out. It's like, "Oh, that leaf fell. You knocked that leaf off the tree," and he ended up getting a 2-stroke penalty. And I just was like, for the most non-consequential thing in the world, like Sahith maybe brushed a grain of sand on his way back. I just think the punishment doesn't fit the crime, but I respect his integrity for it. Like golf is a self-policing game, and you gotta, if you're not going to be honest, it's a slippery slope. The next thing you know, you're fucking Wyndham Clark or you're Patrick Reed out there, and everybody's calling you a cheater on the internet. So
Yeah, I feel that. And that you definitely don't want to be the Patrick Reed / Wyndham Clarks of the world. Another note that I had here just watching this week, and maybe you feel the same way. I know you have some takes on some courses. Eastlake doesn't do it for me, dude. I am not a big fan of that golf course. And the first hole is like the hardest hole, which actually statistically wise, it played as the hardest hole on the PGA Tour all season at like it was plus 0.44 over par going into today
yeah,
or most of today. So that's kind of fun from the standpoint of like, it got us excited that Scottie was going to come back to the field yesterday for sure. And then you have the drivable par 4 eighth, which Scottie shanked on today and made a complete mess of the hole. Made it a 2-shot. Colin Morikawa made that birdie. And did you catch that part
I
when
did not.
Morikawa made birdie and Scheffler was just in for bogey? Dude, his fist pump was terrible. It was, oh no, I felt so bad for him. It was just the most Colin Morikawa fist bump of all. He Hank Blockwooded it, kind of like. It was so bad. And
Yeah,
it
you legitimately, if a good fist bump like needs to be practiced. Like it's like me doing the weather reports. I can't just raw dog that. You need to like do a few fist pumps in the mirror, as dumb as you look, because if you're debuting your fist pump on the national TV and it looks like dog shit, you're just going to get roasted all over the internet. I will say too, did you see Scottie walking in with wired headphones? What is your take there?
that was in my notes. Scottie walking in with wired headphones and a Nike collared shirt on. Like everyone else just wears a nice, comfy, uncollared shirt. He rocks. I wanted to get your take on that. That is
I
in my notes.
I honestly will say that like wired headphones, I mean, the fact that he went like full middle school, like wire inside of the shirt, like you remember dropping your phone down your fucking putting it in your neck and dropping it down and putting it in your pocket so you didn't have the wires showing. Like that is so old school. I almost like respect it. But at the same time, man, like that is one of the small things that I think we take for granted. Getting older and technology advancements. Like if you would have told me we'd have wireless headphones when I was in high school, I'd be like, you're full of shit. Because everybody's walking around with the cords, you're untangling it. Your phone's falling off the cord, you lose your music. There's just so many things that could go wrong. They were built like shit. Do you remember the old gummy headphones? I had like so many pairs of those gummy headphones. Those were my jam, but just brother in Christ, get some Bose, no free shout outs. Get some Bose like wireless fucking noise canceling headphones or even
Dude,
just
yeah.
AirPods.
He's probably got like the iPhone 8 in his pocket and rolling it through. And then remember how much of a pain in the ass it used to be because you would have like a belt on or have to like basically weave it through your belt or your pants in order to get it. And then it's always like untucking your shirt if you got a shirt tucked in. Real quick, I sent over the Colin Morikawa fist bump to Emma, and she's going to cue it up here and she can play
Oh,
it. Ready? So good. Well, you got to watch it in fast motion. Here it is. Here it is.
He hit the little like circle. Yeah. Get it.
Like he didn't know what to do.
That was not the most impressive fist bump I've ever seen in my life. But I mean, I will say, like Phil, some of those guys, there's been some, like Tiger is elite, and he's elite at many things because his fist bumps are like all time. So nobody can replicate that shit either.
Yeah, no doubt. Real quick, Emma, can you show that other link in there? Not Mitchell's Facebook post. We'll get to that at the very end here quick, but just alternate formats for the Tour Championship. So talk through this, Mitchell, real quick, and what this would kind of look like, because I think this has a chance of happening at some point soon.
I mean, I think that would be absolutely electric, but to get some sort of match play scenario going, you know, it's probably not a favorite for the players because they have to play so many rounds of golf. But could you imagine just a full bracket? And I do feel like the whole bracket scenario may be a little bit overplayed. Like everybody tries to recreate March Madness, which is just a horse of a different color. It's its own thing. But can you not tell me that match play with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line would be electric? And then also similar to what this is almost like a World Cup of soccer type pool scenario where, you know, you have 4 guys in each pool, the winner comes out of the pool, and then you play match play from there. But either way, shout out Fried Egg. These are some creative ways of going about this, but really anything similar to that would be a million times better than the current format.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right, we're going to wrap this pod up with a little Sunday night Mulligan of the week and then show Mitchell's greatest Facebook post ever and roast him for it. I'll start with my Mulligan of the week. I wrote this down as I was taking off on the flight to Iowa, which I didn't know would end up being one of the worst flights in history of my life. But I forgot my headphones. That's just, and not that I would put both of them in because my wife would kill me if I did that, but at least to have one in. If I had like a podcast or some music in my left ear the whole time while my son was deafening my right ear with his screaming, I may have at least had a bit more fun on the flight and like gotten some laughs out of a pod or some sort of music and had some vibes going. But forgetting your headphones on a flight I just cannot believe I did that. So that was my Mulligan of the week. And then it turned into 9 p.m. flight. Kid doesn't sleep, the whole story. But it was a whole big Mulligan of the week traveling from Denver to Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, you forget the essentials sometimes. Like you're so worried about the small shit, you forget the big shit. So you just need to have like a little checklist for yourself. My Mulligan of the week, Friday night after we got home from the bar, I was a little bit buckled, you know, and I wanted to have a few snacks. You get a little hungry. I was like, I need a snack. I was eating some chocolate covered pretzels and just not paying attention and just bit the shit out of my cheek. Like there's nothing worse than that. And then it's like fucking hanging out into your mouth. And then you keep biting it inadvertently. And it's just such a shitty scenario. Like I can still feel it right now. I bit my tongue like a month or 2 ago and I legit thought I like took a chunk out of it. Like I bit it so hard. So maybe I just need to chew softer, maybe get a little less aggressive with the eating.
Well, when you had a few, there's no telling. Like when I get into the snacks late night, it's game over for whatever's in my way. So I don't fault you for it, but it's not fun to deal with because then it's there for a while. Mm-hmm. All right, Emma, let's queue up the greatest Facebook post of all time. We're going to leave with this. So Mitchell texted me this today. This is from 2009, 15 years ago. What were you? You were probably a freshman.
I was 14.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, freshman. And can I read the exact text on oh, did you text it to me?
Yeah, I texted it to you. I said, holy Christ, I hate myself.
So for those of you out there, what's wrong with that? You never hit an 84. You shoot an 84. You never hit a course. You play a golf course. But this is good because this means that you too can learn and get better. We've gotten better in 15 years. What do you have to say for yourself?
Definitely an embarrassing thing for me. We've openly talked shit about people that use this kind of language towards the golf course. So for me to dig that up from like you always you're an idiot kid. Like everybody knows that they were a dumbass in high school, but when I saw that, I'm like, God, I fucking sucked. Like I must have been insufferable to be around.
Oh yeah,
So
I know firsthand.
well, and I said I saw that when I was sitting at the barbecue spot, and I said to my girlfriend, I was like, God, I was such a little shithead. And she goes, was like, you still are a fucking shithead. I was like, well, I was like, I said it in past tense, so I would appreciate if you left it in past tense. But yeah, definitely not my best moment. But I also have a picture on my Instagram of me doing the Tebow in a Tebow jersey when that whole thing was going on, like in the middle of the school hallway. So a lot of questionable decisions were made in my high school career. But I will say, like, that is just the young passion for golf was really something that I miss being like, yeah, I fucking shot an 84. Let's go. Like, I remember that was like the highlight of my week. Now, if I shoot an 84, I want to find the nearest high building to fucking take a header off of. So there's just something innocent about it that I missed out on. And I still wish I had that kind of passion for the game.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm the same. We used to watch Big Break on Monday nights and this and Golf Central on Tuesday nights. Like
Bring
our
back the
golf
big break.
love,
Yeah. Holy
our
shit.
golf love as kids was all time.
Bring back Big Break. I think that is still one of the best shows in all of golf history in general. They need to reboot that shit.
100% reboot. Well, we're going to do a reboot and be back with you at some point this week. Our show schedule is going to change a little bit. We're going to figure that out and we'll let you know. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Big Drive Energy on both TikTok and Twitter, Big Drive Energy Pod on Instagram. Go follow us on all there. See the videos we're posting. We're posting some heaters. We've got some heaters chambered. We've got some stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, month. We're really excited about. We got a new segment or a new basically video series hopefully coming out here towards the end of the month that I think everybody's going to really love, and it's something that no one's ever done before. So you heard it here first. You're going to see something that no one's ever done before. We're going to make it really fun, really interactive, and really cool. Make sure you're following us on all socials. We are at Big Drive Energy, Big Drive Spence, and Big Drive Mitch. That is enough big drives for you on this Sunday night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the start of football season. I know we will, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.